How's it going, guys? I'm Mike Dwyer from the Bunker Recordings and BetterMixes.com, and today I'm going to show you 3 ways to deal with tom bleed. I'm sure a lot of you guys have experienced this where you've just got way too much cymbal bleed in your tom mics, and it can be pretty tough to deal with. So let's listen to this section right here. And let me solo the toms. All right, so yeah, we've got a ton of bleed. So typically you'd say, all right, well, let's just gate that. So let's bring these up. Okay, so this is just a normal gate, but we have a couple problems with this. So if we want to get rid of this crash right after the fills, we'll have to make our release time pretty short so it cuts out before that. So let's hear that real quick. So you can hear it's doing a pretty good job of cutting out the cymbals, but let's hear that in context. So yeah, that sounds kind of funny. You just hear the toms popping in for a second and it sounds really unnatural. So if we lengthen our release time, something like this, that's a little bit better. The toms sound a little more natural, but we're still getting a lot of that cymbal in there. So we can definitely do better. So our first method here requires 2 gates, and one of them has to be kind of special, which we'll talk about in just a second. The first one is just going to be an ordinary gate. In this case, I'm using Drum Leveler by Sound Radix. Really, any gate can do this part. I just think this is a really great drum gate. So on this one, we have our release time set really, really slow. We're at about a second here. So let's check that out real quick. Okay, so we're obviously not there yet. Really what this is for is to just clean up all the sections in between the tom hits. You can also go through and do this manually, but as long as the performance isn't too dynamic, you can usually get away with just using a gate. So then the next one, this is where we need a kind of special gate. It's the same one as using in the first examples. It's called Gatey Weighty by Boz Digital Labs. Pretty sure this is really cheap. I know I've seen it on sale for maybe $20 or something, so I definitely recommend it. So what's cool about it is you can use it like a traditional gate, like we were in the beginning of this video, or you can gate just the high or low frequencies. So in this case, we just want to cut out the high frequencies. So now in this gate, we're going to have our attack really fast and our release really fast as well. Here we're at 47 milliseconds. And what this is going to be doing is after that 47 milliseconds, it's just going to be cutting out everything above about 650 hertz here. So let's check that out. Pretty cool, right? So we still get those low frequencies ringing out for a full second, which gives us a nice natural decay. But the high frequencies are only there for a tiny fraction of the second, just long enough to give you that attack, but not so long that cymbal bleed becomes a problem. So let's listen to that in context now. So yeah, pretty natural sounding. So the second method is a little bit more work, but you don't need any special plugins to do it. You can just do it with your stock plugins or whatever you already own. You're going to want to make a duplicate of each one of your toms. Our first track here will be our sustain, and then our second one is going to be our attack, and I'll show you what that means. So if we look at our sustain track here on our rack tom, first we've got a gate. We're using Gatey Weighty again, but we're just using it in standard mode, so any gate would work here, even just your stock one. So on this track, we have a nice slow release on this gate, about 400 milliseconds here, but just something long enough to let the full sustain of the drum ring through. But then next, we're going to take an EQ plugin and roll off all the high end. So here we're rolling off everything above 650 or so. So we're just letting all that low end sustain. Now if we take a look at our duplicate track here, we've got our gate, but this time we have a really fast release, 32 milliseconds. Then we're doing the opposite with the EQ. We're rolling off all the low end, and let's hear what that does. So we're just getting a really, really fast kind of slap there, which sounds really goofy by itself. When you combine them, you get a really similar result to our first method. So let's hear that in context. Not bad. And this last method is really useful if your drums are really dynamic, if you have really loud tom hits and really quiet tom hits, and you can't get them all to trigger the gate properly. It's definitely the most work out of the 3 methods, but sometimes it's necessary. So first you're going to want to go through and manually cut out all your tom hits. And we're going to want to put nice long fades on here to let the toms ring out nicely. Maybe something like that. So then we're going to want to consolidate these. If you're in Pro Tools, that's Shift Option 3, or if you go up here, Edit, Consolidate Clip. So it just rendered those fades. So we have a nice clean clip to work on. So we're going to go up to Audio Suite and grab an EQ plugin. We're going to roll off all the top end on this, maybe somewhere around there. So we're going to select this clip, except the beginning. Maybe we'll try about there and hit render. So we just applied this EQ to this chunk of the clip. We left the beginning alone, so let's hear that. So yeah, that's our filter tom. But the initial hit still has all of that top end in it. So let's check that out. So that's close. And we're just going to put a nice big fade here. We will drag this back a little bit, let a little more of the transient through. There we go. That's sounding pretty good. So we'll do the same to this one. Tighten that up a little bit. Now let's hear that in context. There you go. So there's your 3 ways to deal with tom bleed. Which one of these techniques did you like the best? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you found this video helpful, be sure to leave a thumbs up and subscribe.